Hello class, this is Demetrius Wilson with Organizational Behavior, and this is our 15th and final chapter. And we will be discussing organizational culture. Our learning objectives for this chapter are to describe organizational culture and why it is important for an organization, understand the dimensions that make up a company's culture, assess whether a culture is weak or strong, understand factors that create culture, understand how to change culture, understand how organizational culture and ethics relate, and understand cross-cultural differences in organizational culture. What is organizational culture? A system of shared assumptions, values, and beliefs that show people what is appropriate and inappropriate behavior within that organization. The culture of an organization is closely linked to organizational design. Why does organizational culture matter? An organization's culture may be one of its strongest assets or its biggest liabilities. It could be very good for the company and it could be very bad for the company. If you have a negative culture, it would be negative for the company. Organizational culture is an effective control mechanism dictating employee behavior. Culture or shared values within the organization may be related to increased performance. If it's happy-go-lucky, everything's bright lights, bright colors, it may result in increased performance. Organizations which have a rare and hard to imitate culture may enjoy a competitive advantage. Like if they recruit a bunch of individuals that have this certain type of personality type, and they get them all together and they're great at collaborating, fully positive, fully functioning, all within the quote-unquote flow method, then they have a competitive advantage over the other companies within their competition range. 3 levels of organizational culture. In the middle you have assumptions, further on the outside you have values, and all the way on the outside you have artifacts, all of which we will discuss in detail. Basic assumptions, they lie below awareness. Assumptions are taken for granted and reflect beliefs about human nature and reality. At the second level, values exist, and values are shared principles, standards, and goals. And lastly, artifacts are on the surface or are visible, tangible aspects of organizational culture. Discussion questions. Specifically, the first one, why do companies need culture? Be sure to practice, ask these back and forth between you and your classmates, family, friends, whoever is interested in organizational behavior. Which values characterize an organization's culture, dimensions of culture, and the organizational culture profile, or the OCP? Are they innovative? Right? They're looking up brand new ideas, looking to create the next big thing. Are they aggressive? We want this percentage of the market share. Are they outcome oriented? Do they want to get these things completed by this date? Are they a stable company? We just want to get our $1 million in profit every year and everyone will continue to have a stable and sustainable life. Are they people oriented? Are they jumping around, high five, throwing each other the sunshine ball? Like, hey, I threw you the sunshine ball. Everybody get excited about today. Are they team oriented? Do they work in teams throughout a good portion of the day? And are they detail oriented, meaning that they have to cross their T's and dot their I's, and they have a lot of project management involved and a very analytical approach. Innovative cultures, see on the left side, W.L. Gore, Genentech, and Google. They're flexible, experiment with new ideas, and they're adaptable. Very fluid, can deal with change very well. Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft has been described as having an aggressive culture. Right? They're out there to get that market share. Outcome-oriented culture is a culture that emphasizes achievement, results, and action as important values. Stable cultures, companies that are stable and predictable, rule-oriented and bureaucratic. People-oriented cultures, these organizations value fairness, supportiveness, and respecting individual rights. What type of organization and culture do you think that you're in? Southwest has a team-oriented culture, and you'll see in the next few slides what that's done for them. This team-oriented culture are collaborative and emphasize cooperation among employees. So take a look at Southwest Airlines passenger growth. You see it's going up the right way. Every year, it's increasing. The growth in the number of passengers flying with Southwest Airlines from 1973 until 2007. And you said, well, yeah, if you don't have to pay for luggage, of course their passengers are going to increase. Detail-oriented culture, a culture that characterized in the OCP framework as emphasizing precision and paying attention to details. A president I used to work for his organization used to always say, and I heard a general manager that I work for as well say this, the devil is always in the details, right? So you have to get down to the minutia, to the details, and that's where you're going to find what the problem truly is. Walt Disney created a strong culture which survives today, right? Disney is bigger and stronger than ever, and that's not going anywhere. Challenges of a strong culture is difficult to change. What if we're now in an environment where you have to shift and change your culture? Are you able to change it? And it can be a liability during a merger. Each separate culture must merge together. And you'll see that in the book when you're reading your textbook, that they have a couple examples of companies that merge together, and it's like a standoff, right? You know, at the old Wild West, and they're saying, hey, we're not changing our culture, and they're saying we're not changing our culture. So they just stand there in the middle of the street with their guns drawn, and nobody budges and no progress is made. More discussion questions, be sure to review them as always. So this is an interesting diagram, creating and maintaining organizational culture. So at the far left you have culture creation, and on the right you have culture maintenance. So in creation phase you have founder values and preferences and industry demands. Those lead into early values, goals, and assumptions. So from those early values, goals, and assumptions you get over to the other side where you have culture maintenance, and you have attraction, selection, and attrition. Right, so you attract certain people, you select them, you have a certain level of amount of attrition where certain people leave the company and certain individuals stay. You have a new employee onboarding, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on how that could work successfully for companies. Leadership, is your leadership appropriate or does it need to be replaced? And reward systems, is it a reward system that people are excited about? All leading into what their organizational culture will be. The founder values and preference. The social activism of Ben & Jerry's was instilled in the company because founders strongly believed in these issues. Social activism helped distinguish Ben & Jerry's from larger corporate brands, and the values were retained as a corporate culture and taught to new members as the right way to do business, right? And I've had an experience with a company that I worked for, and it was a good experience where that first 2 weeks when you come in, you're actually sitting through these classes and you're kind of getting engrossed in what they're all about and how they want to do things as a company. And it's good because you have to have a mindset and a mind shift that goes towards how everyone in the company is acting. And I think it was actually a great idea. How are cultures maintained? Well, you have attraction, right? Attract people. We just talked about this, selection, attrition, and onboarding. And onboarding process is very crucial. Everybody's not a stronger individual, or let's say not even a stronger, more independent individual that doesn't need an onboarding system. The company I currently work for doesn't really have like a big time onboarding if you're a manager, but if you're a representative, maybe you come in and get a certain amount of training. It's kind of if you're a manager, come in and learn on your own, because they do a lot of promoting from within. Learning culture through onboarding, the process through which new employees learn the attitudes, knowledge, skills, and behaviors required to function effectively within an organization. So back to our organizational behavior toolbox, 15 small toolboxes or one large toolbox. You've gained a lot of knowledge this semester. Great things can help you out, definitely in the workplace. So you've got a new job. Now, how do you get on board? So you gather information, you manage your first impressions, right? First impressions are very important. Invest in relationship development, seek feedback, and show success early on. Seek feedback, very important. You want to get some feedback on what you're doing and what you should be doing, and then show success early on. Show them, hey, this is what I can do for the company. Show your value. Whenever I come into a company, I want to get some quick wins, like they say, the low-hanging fruit. I want to show them that I am what they are paying me for, and what I communicated during the during the interview process. I don't want them to say, oh, he's kind of exactly what we were looking for, or he's not exactly what we're looking for, but we'll deal with them. I want them to say, hey, this is a great guy, and he's doing better than we even thought. Onboarding methods, you can have the use of formal orientation programs, mentoring by supervisors and coworkers, and role modeling by visible leaders. Now, it depends on your organization and how other managers feel. You may not get the greatest mentoring by supervisors and coworkers, depending upon how they feel when you come into the organization. I've come into 2 or 3 organizations, and it's been a big area of contention because the individuals and employees were really close with or liked the prior managers and or supervisors. So sometimes that can be tough, but if you're an individual that can hand that, it can be very good for your career to come in and change things. Back to our organizational behavior toolbox, the best practices on how to maximize onboarding success. It needs to be written down. You have to be clear on objectives, timelines, roles, and responsibilities. Tell the people, okay, you're going to come talk about this department and you have 30 minutes. You have 30 minutes and you have 15. They have to know, keep everything in line. It has to be participatory and it has to be tracked over time. Clear, on schedule, key stakeholder meetings with managers and mentors, going over strengths and development areas, and hearing about potential problems and critical advice to help you be successful. So rewards influence culture. Of course, we all like rewards. Nobody's going to say, oh, hey, here's a bonus. Oh, no, I don't want my bonus. So we have our behaviors, our results, our performance, and our seniority all lead into the types of behaviors that are rewarded or ignored, set the tone for the culture, right? So is my good behavior being rewarded? And is someone else's bad behavior being rewarded? Like I alluded to earlier in the semester, oh, you can't get to work at 8 o'clock. I'm going to set your time to 8:15 so that you're not late anymore. Well, guess what? When I set it to 8:15, you're probably going to be late and come in at 8:20 anyway. Visual elements of culture. You have your mission statement. Companies that I've seen, they have it, on the wall. Some big, some small. One I saw near, it took up the entire wall. You have stories about the company, right? Those are always great. Paint a pretty picture. Physical layout, how the company is structured, like at Zappos, and we'll look at that case and how their organization looks. It's laid out in a fun environment way, and they're more of a loose environment. Rules and policies and rituals, right? Ritual for a company I work for, they had an actual company song, and whenever people were new to the company, they had to memorize the company song and come up in front of the entire company and sing the song. Tradition is important at Mary Kay Cosmetics, and I'm sure you guys have seen that pink Cadillac floating around the city. Pink Cadillacs are given to top sales performers at large annual events, right? That means that, hey, you've sold a lot of Mary Kay Cosmetics, and we're going to give you a pink Cadillac. Back to our organizational behavior toolbox. As a job candidate, how would you find out if you're a good fit? Well, first you have to do your research, observe the physical environment, read between the lines, figure out how you're treated by the people who are interviewing you, ask questions, and listen to your gut, right? Your sixth sense, mother wit, whatever you want to call it, will tell you, hey, I should go with this, and in some instances it will tell you that it shouldn't. I've listened to my gut before in a situation. I interviewed at a college, and the guy, I was in a full suit, and he had a space heater twice the size of the normal space heater, and we're in an enclosed office. He's the president of the university. He cranks it up full speed, and I'm sweating bullets. And then he asked me if I wanted to go outside and take a smoke break. So I'm with the president of the university, and he's outside smoking and just talking to me. And in my gut, which I guess you don't really have to, have good mother wit to understand or know that probably wasn't the situation that I wanted to be in. But in my gut, I said, you know what? I don't think that this is an opportunity that I'm going to call back on. More discussion questions. Love them. Enjoy them. We're at chapter 15. You should be very used to them by now. So how do cultures change? And this is a great circle. So number one, create a sense of urgency. And like I said before, companies are very much so lacking a sense of urgency. People just get comfortable and complacent. Number two, change leaders and other key players. So you can either change the people and put different leaders in, or you can turn these people into what you call a change agent and say, you need to get on board. Are you on board? determine if they are truly on board, and then go about changing others within the organization. Number 3, role models. 4, training, of course. 5, change the reward system. That always helps. And number 6, create new stories and symbols, right? You may create a new look and feel for the company. We're unveiling a new brand logo instead of what we've used before. More discussion questions. Great one at the top. Can new employees change a company's culture? If so, how? I try to, in every organization I go into, to change things and make things brighter and make things better. And last but not least, the last slide of discussion questions. Have you seen an example of ethical or unethical organizational cultures, and describe what you've observed? I have, but I'll leave you to it to discuss your questions. It's been a great semester. Appreciate all of your input. I'm glad that you guys were able to check out all these lectures. It's a great way to understand additional insight. So this is the end of chapter 15. You'll have key assignments, quizzes, and tests after this, and you'll have a great semester above and beyond. As always, have a good day and a great week.